thought I heard you.
Did you?
Oh, not. No, I didn't hear you on the show.
Well, how about I'm seeing it through seeing XSplit.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, we're coming. Dude, I
There
don't
we go.
know what the heck's going on here. That is wild.
Coming up.
How we doing? How's it looking? Anyone got audio?
Sounds like we got audio.
Yeah. I don't know if I can. Hey, Reverend, say something.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Yeah, I think we're on.
Oh my God, I can't believe.
What happened?
I don't know. Didn't do anything. It just all of a sudden XSplit just started to say like, oh hey, you're talking, and we will just go ahead and now broadcast your audio. So here we are again.
Here we are again. The
All
Reverend,
right.
the Reverend's a little rusty.
Yeah, it's it's been a little while and everything. So man, I don't even know why. Like I said, I'm watching the little speaker. You know how you have the little sound bar there, it picks everything up.
Yep.
It was just not doing anything, and then all of a sudden it's like, hello there. And
well,
so,
like the Wonder Midget and the Blues Band are already in the chat, and they're like, they're like, hey, it's not a Fanboys 918 event without technical difficulties.
I know.
Right.
That's right. And Courtney's in the chat too. So welcome, Courtney. So
all right.
Unfortunately, your flawless intro did not get broadcasted.
That's okay.
So it's all right. It's all right. We can always dub that in later when we go to upload this for our future Audacity TV episode. So
that's
I guess
correct.
maybe that's one way we go ahead and just fly right into our shtick of things. So
well, speaking of that, since we have we've been announcing this for the last few weeks, and it's been rolling out. It's already rolled out. Fanboys 918 has recently partnered with another distribution partner for our content, and that content does have audio when we do present
regularly
on a regular basis.
Very nice.
They're an over the top, like an OTT service similar to Roku called Audacity TV, and they have recently started up their service. And we've been fortunate enough to be part of this initial rollout of their app. Now, they're right now and for the foreseeable future carrying the best segments of this program. People are like, wow, what are the best segments of this program?
Well, this is comedy moments right here.
It's comedy moments right here.
That's right. Melissa Allen just joined us. Welcome, Melissa.
Hey, what's going on there? So anyway, for right now, for the more foreseeable future, Audacity TV is going to be carrying the best segments of our program. Mr. Narwhal has been gracious enough to sift through the Fanboys 918 protected archives that we store in an undisclosed location that was once a former salt mine. He has made that journey and come back with some pearls that are now streaming on Audacity TV. In addition to this show, they're also going to be carrying segments of our other programming. I just uploaded some segments of the Talking Geek, which will roll out pretty soon. And we're going to try to get some real love segments put together. But something that's also running on there right now, along with the best of Fanurism Plix, is a block of programming that Goldar is managing for us. Goldar, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I head up Fanboys Nightcrawlers, where I play a new game. I release episodes every Sunday now. Seems to be my consistent basis there. Every Sunday. I usually play them late Saturday night, but I post them Sunday. Right now I'm playing Days Gone, which is basically a post-apocalyptic world that's been ravaged by these mutant zombies that have taken over. And you play Deacon St. John as he drives across the landscape on his motorcycle, because he's a former member of a motorcycle chapter prior to the apocalypse. His journey is largely just driving across the landscape, performing missions, but also trying to find out if his wife is still alive, who he has not seen in a couple of years since the outbreak happened. And we just discovered in episode 18 or 19, I believe, that she's alive, in fact, and residing at one of the camps at Crater Lake. And she's their resident scientist who's trying to discover a cure for these creatures called freakers that you come across during the landscape. I would say that this game it's slow at first, but it becomes incredibly fun. Um, it handles hordes in probably the best way a game could handle them.
Oh, really?
All the hordes are challenging, no matter how many weapons that you have. Um, Even with the best weapons, there's still a bit of a challenge. If you don't have the best weapons, it's an up and hill battle, and you'll probably lose every time. The missions are fun. Some of them are repetitive, but there are some that have unique outcomes based on those missions. The game gets you to care about your motorcycle because you take it with you every time you go out into the shit, as they call it, which is the landscape where the freakers exist, just the open world. And you can repair and upgrade your bike as you go along in the journey. You go from camp to camp, and as you go from camp to camp, you can upgrade your bike with better parts for it to be more durable and to drive faster, as well as better weapons to execute the freakers as you come across them.
Now, do you mount weapons to the motorcycle, or is you're just equipping yourself with weapons?
You just equip yourself with weapons. The best that you can really do is add a saddlebag to the motorcycle where you can refill your ammo a lot better with them, so that you don't have to return to camp as often or scavenge for ammo.
Dude, I'd be wanting to do some Mega Force machine guns on the front of my motorcycle. Yes, I did just make a Mega Force reference tonight.
Mega Force little rocket launcher on the top of it and everything. Like,
sadly, this game doesn't have a sequel. It's been canceled, but that would be
really?
Yeah, it was canceled like a few years ago, actually, in 2019, I think, or 2020. But if they had gotten a sequel, then my request would have been to add some kind of weaponry to the motorcycle itself, so that you could ram into crowds of freakers or just fire machine guns off of them.
Right.
Whoever canceled
do we know
that
the reason?
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, was there a reason why it got canceled? I mean, it seems like it's a pretty popular game. Did you ever hear what the cancellation was the cause of it for?
So the previous Sony president was the one that was pulling for the game initially. And then when he left, a new president stepped in, and he basically slashed a bunch of different properties that they didn't feel were very profitable. Days Gone wasn't the most terribly profitable game. Right. Even though I believe it was a AAA title when it came out. So it just didn't really have the appeal that the president wanted. He didn't push for it, so he canceled any possibility for a sequel behind it. So it's kind of disappointing because from what I've been hearing, they've been struggling to get some really good titles, like AAA titles or first platform titles for PlayStation right now. So
yeah.
So with that cancellation, would that allow some other type of gaming industry to come in and snatch the title up and develop a game like it, or even do a continuation, or is that even a potential?
I don't know if that's a potential or not. I mean, I believe the studio that did the game still owns the rights to the property or the IP to it. So it's basically shelved for right now, as far as I know. So it would probably take a new president coming in to revive it, or somebody really, really pushing hard from that studio to say, hey, like, you got nothing else right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is gonna be the thing that does it. But I think it's because the game initially took so long to kind of really get into and develop and become really great that it didn't do the numbers that they were hoping for to start with, which is kind of a travesty, because the game gets better as it goes on, so you have to give it time. Right. And I know a lot of people don't really want to do that, including myself. A lot of times I'll start a game and I'm like, this game kind of sucks, I'm out.
It seems really long. How long have you been playing on this? Because it seems like the game's really long.
It's a pretty long game. I've actually finished it by this point. Yeah. So we have about maybe about 10 more episodes left before the game is completely done. It's been a great journey. It takes a while to get through, because you really need to do the side quests so that you can earn enough trust points for each camp that you go to, so that you can unlock the ability to upgrade your motorcycle and purchase better weapons and things like that.
Well, and I wonder if that's part of the negative appeal to it. Is that even a phrase, negative appeal?
Yeah.
Because I'm not a side quest type guy. I don't like that kind of stuff.
See,
And
and
so yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say I would have been like, screw this game, not realizing that I needed to do all those side quests in order to get powerful enough to accomplish the game.
And see, and I normally feel the same way that you do. Normally, I'm not really into doing a bunch of side quests. I'm like, give me all the stuff I need to do on the main mission. I'll finish that. If there's anything on the side quest that I want to do, then I'll go do those if it seems appealing. But with this game, like I really wanted to do the side quest because I didn't really want the game to end. Because I started noticing that I was kind of moving through the story pretty quick, and I'm like, let me just do like a bunch of just wandering around. So if you notice, like in a lot of the editing that I've been doing lately in the videos, like I've cut out a lot of hours of me just driving around on my motorcycle, just looking for stuff to do, looking for things, like coming across stuff, and just kept the more interesting aspects of the game. So, yeah, this is the first game in a long time that's because normally I don't like these open world type games where you just wander around.
Yeah.
So this is the first type of game that I played in a while where I just wanted to wander around and see what to do and mess around before I complete the story. So
Okay.
it's definitely worth the time.
Now, do we have these running on Audacity yet?
Yes. No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We don't have these running on Audacity yet.
Okay.
Right now, we've just started The Last of Us Part 2 that's running on Audacity. I just uploaded those to the server, so they should be running here pretty soon. We just finished Resident Evil 3 Remake. I will be recording Resident Evil 2 Remake here shortly because Resident Evil, the TV series, is going to be premiering on Netflix.
Yeah.
I will be after, and I'll say this real quick. After we finish the Days Gone, I will be exclusively posting to YouTube, and I'll be sharing to Facebook. But you'll find everything over on YouTube. I found the quality of the videos are much better.
Yes.
Quality on Facebook is very, very muddy, and it doesn't look like you can really upgrade those. The screen is the way you can on YouTube.
It has something to do with the compression, the way the compression works when they upload it on the book faces here.
Yeah. So we're going to be moving over to YouTube. The quality is going to be a lot better. I think it's just going to be a better experience for everybody to consume the content. So we'll be moving over there after Days Gone. So Resident Evil 2 Remake is coming. And I've also started recording The Last of Us Part 1.
Oh, cool. All right.
So we'll get the first part of the story for that.
Man, Goldar be pumping
it out. Turning it out.
He turning that stuff out like a sausage factory.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you cannot find on our YouTube channel is our regular Friday night block of programming. Reverend, do we dare try the board, or are you?
You are talking about Sci-Fi Friday.
I am. We didn't get quite enough reverb on it there. That's okay.
Like, it's turned all the man. My soundboard's acting weird. I'm telling you.
Yeah, no kidding. We had no audio for the first minute of the broadcast. No kidding. It's acting weird. Anyway, by the way, before we go too further, Lori Vanpool's in the chat, and the B5 babe herself is in the chat right now.
Yep.
So, and like we said, the Wonder Midget's here, the Blues Man's here, Courtney's here. As many of you know, we are conducting a retrospective journey through the classic 90s science fiction series Babylon 5, and we have moved into season 3, known collectively as Point of No Return. And this week, we have the return of a character named Marcus Cole. And he and Commander Ivanova are going to undertake a hazardous mission that has the potential to really help the station in its coming war against the Shadows. And while they're doing that, Captain Sheridan goes where every man has gone before. All this week as we present Season 3, Episode 5, Voices of Authority. Now, as always, I will be in the live chat, and I believe we may have a special guest joining us live as well to help us give some commentary on the proceedings. And if that sounds like fun, tune in tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. for Sci-Fi Friday. So with all that kind of, did we miss anything?
No, I think that we got the Sci-Fi Friday. We've done Nightcrawler. We plugged YouTube and Audacity. I think we're ready to kick off the real reason why we're here tonight.
Well, the rest, the RIPs are always
yeah. That's not what I'm sorry. Yeah, that's not why we're here. But
that's okay. You got the RIP video, or have you downloaded that yet?
There's a video.
Yeah.
I didn't see a video. I saw some pictures.
Oh no. Well, anyway,
Yes.
Narwhal dropped it in the drive, but that's been a couple weeks ago. Rev's been out of he's been on secret missions, so
Exactly.
we'll just
I'm out blessing the world. So
that's right. Giving them a lot of wine. I know that.
Yes.
So we got 2 RIPs this week. The first, and neither one of these people are going to be like, oh, that person. But when you see their face or hear their resumes, you're gonna see what important deal this was. First of all, well-versed character actor Mary Mara died on June 26th, and she was, I believe, 61 years old. It's my understanding that she drowned.
That's what I heard as well, an accidental drowning.
Yeah, it's terrible. And while she certainly wasn't a household name, her resume for itself, is really impressive. I mean, on television, she made appearances on such staple shows as Law and Order, Nash Bridges, Criminal Minds, Ray Donovan, Third Watch, West Wing, that kind of thing. Genre fans will remember her, at least genre fans of a certain age, will remember her as one of the spear builders in season 3 of Enterprise. So, as soon as I saw her face, like, man, she's, it's like she's the girl from The Thing, but there's a lot of actors like that really,
yep,
make a lot of big impression on our culture. In movies, she did Mr. Saturday Night with Billy Crystal. She was in the movie K-Pax, The Hard Way with Michael J. Fox, Blue Steel, and she was in the remake of Prom Night that they did back in like 2010, I think, maybe. But anyway, sadly, like I say, it was an accidental drowning. Tragic. I mean, anything like that's always tragic, but in the world we're living in now, it's almost like, golly, the world is like fighting us. It's working against us on purpose now. Especially when we announce our second RIP tonight. And again, this is not going to be a recognizable name for a lot of folks, but you will certainly recognize his work, or rather our fandom and our lives would be a sadder place without his work. And that is Academy Award nominee. He was a model maker. Greg Jean passed away this week as well. He was not known to a lot of people on the street, but his work certainly speaks for himself. He was part of the team that built the alien mothership for Close Encounters. He worked on Star Trek The Motion Picture. He worked on Buckaroo Banzai. I mean, he goes back to, the Wonder Woman TV series. As you can see there, he worked with Steven Spielberg on 1940. He designed the Firefox, the airplane, the Firefox. He worked on the original V miniseries. He built the Red October. And most importantly, he left a huge footprint on the Star Trek franchise. He worked on the lion's share of most of the Trek movies, built a majority of the models for that series. Now, I misspoke when we were kind of prepping. I said he did not build the Enterprise D. He darn sure did. He was on the team that put the Enterprise D together. And also when they were going to do Trials and Tribulations, and this is, pre-CGI, they needed to rebuild Kirk's Enterprise. They needed to rebuild Space Station K7, and he did all that work. So again, he's an architect of a lot of our childhood and the cornerstone of a lot of our modern fandom. He has left us. I do not know why. I do follow Mike and Denise Okuda, who are also big production design people, and it was actually through their Facebook post that I saw that he had passed first. He'd been sick for a while apparently, but they didn't say of what. But Greg Jean passed away at the age of 76. Another Hollywood legend, behind the scenes talent, has left us. But before we move on to our main stories, we do have a something to celebrate. Someone having a birthday today.
That is correct. None other than Mr. Mel Brooks. He's 97, I believe, right?
96, 97, something. Everyone's favorite crazy Jewish uncle.
Yes. I mean, this guy is like the king of comedy. I mean, the movies that he has put out, Spaceballs, Blazing Saddles. I mean, he's really been known for really pushing the edge of comedy and really satire in your face. And so, I mean, happy birthday to him. We love everything he puts out. Man, just some of the stuff that he's gotten away with in movies still boggles the mind, and the fact that they're still churning them out. And and you can pick them up. It's just amazing. So,
I know. Well, and here's the funny thing. I was reading about his birthday. Of course, our generation, we're the ones that just can't believe they haven't come after Blazing Saddles yet.
yeah,
Like I just can't believe they have, because most of these youngins that are prone to do that, they miss the satire that he's doing in Blazing Saddles. They hear the words and the trigger words and they get all upset and they don't understanding the satire he's doing. But he was actually saying in the interview that he got more grief when he did the producers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because when he was doing Springtime for the man with the funky mustache and the Mo Howard haircut, that's the best way I can say it on the YouTubes or on the Facebook without getting banned. He's like, they gave him more grief about that. And he's like, they're like, how could you do that? That's not funny. And he's like, that's the only way I can get back at him. I got to make him look like an idiot, So he actually got more.
I'm just curious who the world could actually sit there and ask him that question. It's like, have you seen my movies?
Yeah.
You didn't know this is what it was gonna be like. So,
yeah.
That's crazy.
I know. Gold, are you a Mel Brooks fan?
Yeah, I like Spaceballs a lot.
Yeah.
Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Oh,
Dracula Dead and Loving It.
Man, a lot of that stuff in his later career I forget about.
Yeah.
Those were all some of my favorite movies growing up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This is Astiz and his father Achu.
Comedy gold right there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Comb the desert.
Yeah.
He ain't bad.
Tim Russ has left his mark on so many sci-fi properties, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh,
there's got to be a Voyager blooper somewhere with Janeway ordering Tuvok to beam down and comb the desert. It's hidden away in the vault somewhere. So, by the way, Sprout's with us again. Has joined us tonight.
Yeah. I saw him pop in there.
House tonight.
I know.
All right, so
they knew I was back from my road show.
That's what it
like,
was.
oh man, we got to see the Reverend.
Yeah. See the Reverend mess up the sound tonight.
Exactly.
So let's get off to our first story. This wasn't something that was originally on our notes, but I saw this story and I posted it on the page. And Goldar's like, "Man, we got to talk about this." Goldar, you want to talk about what Mr. Howard Stern's talking about?
Yeah, so Mr. Howard Stern was apparently doing one of his shows and forgot that his mic was still on when they were either on break or after the show. I didn't fully find out the piece on that. But anyway, his mic was still hot. He basically said that he's going to be doing Doctor Doom, that he's going to be miserable doing it because of his schedule, I assume, and that he's reaching out to Robert Downey Jr. for acting tips for it. So this tells us at least one thing, is that Doctor Doom sounds like it's a separate property from anything else that he'd be appearing in first. So it's not going to be a Black Panther movie, which we know Black Panther is a known adversary of Doctor Doom. It's not the Fantastic Four movie, who is also another known adversary to Doctor Doom. And it sounds like that it could be a solo movie or a Disney Plus TV show, which it's been long rumored that there'd be a Disney Plus TV show for this character. I think that's the most likely, though it would be interesting to see a Marvel movie from the perspective of a villain.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and that seems to be kind of on brand with how they're kind of mixing up genres with their some of their films. Like with Shang-Chi, we got largely a kung fu movie that was mixed in with the typical Marvel formula. We got Black Widow, which was a bit of a spy movie that was mixed in with the Marvel formula. And most notably, we're getting actually, I'm trying to think of another one. Doctor Strange. I'm sorry, Doctor Strange was a horror movie mixed in with the Marvel formula.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. Howard Stern is a shameless promoter. He could teach us a few things, honestly. So I can't believe that show's been on for decades. Okay. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have like his cousin running the soundboard, right? So part of me wonders if this was a stunt, and there is and by the way, I do not think for a minute that Howard Stern is playing Dr. Doom.
Oh,
no. I believe that Howard Stern is going to be interviewing Victor Von Doom on his show and as a scripted that's what I think.
Oh
It's-
yeah. Oh
Basically,
yeah.
he's going to be playing himself or a fictional character that's like Howard Stern.
Yep.
That's what I think. But what do you get?
I agree as well. There's no way you're going to convince me that Howard Stern is Victor Von Doom. No,
Yeah.
there's just not a script or an acting coach out there great enough that would like, yes, I want to see this. No, not going to happen.
Yeah.
No, yeah, he's absolutely going to play some and I would bet that he's going to be some news media character
Yep,
that may have like a
exactly.
few clips here and there, just like J. Jonah Jameson,
Mhm.
just explaining something that happened in the news in a Marvel, television series
Yeah.
or movie. So
I just say, if he's talking about like how I don't know, maybe he was joking about maybe how his quips are. It's like I need to contact RDJ to see about an acting
Yeah.
coach. I'm going to be in a Marvel movie. So it's also that whole like frame of reference with it on how that sound bite came across and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't doubt that if he's saying he's going to be in the Doctor Doom movie, I'm quite sure he will be. But yeah, I wouldn't put it past him as a stunt to kind of get some buzz going on it.
Oh, for sure. But I do like Goldar's idea that it's going to be a Disney Plus show from the POV of a villain. That would be pretty cool.
I think
Yeah.
they're going to have to go that route. I mean, they haven't been able to do well on any of the Doctor Doom in any of the movies they've done so far. So I think they'll come out. I think they'll be a little gun shy, and I think they'll go Disney Plus straight on with him. And if he gets a fan base, then they'll see where they can put him in an actual movie. But yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be Disney Plus.
and
Or-
I think
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
And I said, and this is also the perfect time to introduce Mephisto finally too, because for people that don't know, Mephisto basically trapped Doctor Doom's mother in his realm.
Was his mother or his wife?
It's its mother. It's its mother, from what I understand. And that's Doctor Doom's sole motivation of trying to learn magic, is so that he could be powerful enough to free her.
Right.
So this could be an interesting way to introduce a villain as a protagonist, and then have Mephisto as the antagonist for that series.
Yeah.
But then quickly shift gear and have Doctor Doom as the antagonist for either Black Panther or the Fantastic Four. But now that we've seen another side to him, now we don't know which side that we're going to root for when he
Right.
goes up against.
I think
other
Doctor
heroes.
Doom, especially since they haven't done him well in the prior incarnations, they need to do, like you said, they need to give him like the Loki treatment, like let him build up over several episodes or several films or something like that. Sprout's got some definite comments.
Yes, he does.
He by the way, he wants to welcome the Reverend to Fanboys 918.
Yeah.
And he wants to throw his hate at Kenobi. I think there'll be plenty of that to throw around. He said, we got the Multiverse of Madness, which was a shit show mixed in the Marvel universe.
Wow.
And that whole movie couldn't have been wrapped up like Family Matters, a 30-minute sitcom. God almighty.
Man, just dunking on it.
I know. By the way, has anybody seen that? I think we posted a link to it on the page. Has anybody seen that fan-made re-edit where they put Deadpool in the Illuminati scene?
Oh, I just saw that.
Oh my God,
yesterday.
it's great.
I have not watched it yet.
It is so awesome. It's freaking great. But I don't want to. We've already gone down a couple of rabbit holes already. So what do you guys think? Are you guys excited? Those of you that are in the chat, are you excited about the idea of a Doctor Doom show? You think Howard Stern's going to play some kind of a media mogul, shock jock interviewing Victor Von Doom? You think it's going to be like an ongoing thread through the thing? Let us know what you guys think. And we'll see. Well, I guess a few months or maybe a year or two, we'll know if we were right or not.
Yep.
Next item up. You know what? Just once, I'd like to have a show where we don't talk about this ass clown Ezra Miller. Just. I mean, I'm about ready to have Narwhal make a motion graphic to introduce the segment. I mean, he got his own damn segment like the Rest in Peace people. I mean, this guy. My God, I'm so ready for this to be over. I mean, he's running a cult now. he's running a cult, and the Flash is running to HBO Max. But anyway, so did you guys see now? I guess that some of his the people that he's assaulted have kind of come out and started talking now.
No, I haven't heard that.
Oh my gosh! So the he's taken up so much freaking time in the news cycle that people forget about the lady he assaulted back in like 2020.
Yeah,
Oh,
I remember that and everything.
Yeah.
But in fact, I remember reading about that after I heard about the Hawaii experience. The article I read, or the article I was reading about it referenced the last time that he had done something similar to
So I guess she's speaking out. I guess that there's some lady named Nadia who did not give her last name, that I guess they were real good friends, and then he rolled a cigarette one night. She said, "Hey, you're gonna take that outside on," and then he like got all belligerent with her. This is in addition to all the other people that he's been jumping on. I say all this because I want to let everybody know how awesomely intelligent Goldar and Mr. Narwhal were, because they called it. I said, we did a little role-playing game exercise on the last show, and we were like, okay, I'm the president of Warner Brothers. What do I do with this $200 million Flash movie? And they both with that dump that shit on HBO Max, bro. That's what you're gonna have to do. I mean, take a $200 million hit. I don't mean box office. I mean, take a $200 million hit. But it looks like that's where it's going. I think Goldar posted that earlier in the week, right? It's heading to Max.
Yeah.
So you can watch the worst Flash in the world run all over the Speed Force in the comfort of your tidy whities, in your own home. Now, go ahead.
I was just gonna lead into what you told me about it. So I'll let you, if that's where you're going, I'll let you speak on that.
Oh no, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
So the rumor running around is that Michael Keaton is not thrilled about why all this, like this whole situation, because this was supposed to be his comeback tour as Batman for the DC universe. We know that he was supposed to make an appearance in this movie as well as the Batgirl movie, but he was also slated for a few other performances as well. Did you say it was 2 to 3 other performances?
I want to say that he's either got, okay, so it's been a while since I read the article. He's either got 4 more or he signed for 4 total, and this was going to be the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So, if nothing else, we have at least 3 more appearances outside the Flash movie to see Michael Keaton as Batman.
So that's very disappointing, because I know a lot of us are hoping for Michael Keaton to come back as Batman for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's finally happening, but now it's like in kind of shambles.
Yep. Tainted.
Yeah.
It's tainted.
Because of Ezra Miller's antics. I was really hoping that they would bring Michael Keaton back just for a Batman Beyond type thing, which I think everybody unanimously is what they were hoping for.
Yep.
But DC is just like Sony. They don't listen to the fans. They just do what they want. So
I don't know, man. I think under Zaslav, this might start to change.
It could.
I mean, he hadn't been president 6 months, so got to keep in mind all these projects were way in development. Like they were too expensive they were so far in development, it was too expensive to stop them. At the point even if he thinks they suck, he's like, well, do something with them.
Yeah, I mean, at some point that boulder's got too much steam and moss already built up on it. You just got to let it roll downhill, and either crush everybody in its path, or let it finally rest at the bottom and everything and make decisions. So, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm happy that it's coming to streaming versus being in the theaters. I mean, we all love going to the movies. We love seeing it, and we love seeing the superhero movies if they're done well on the big screen. Like the first Wonder Woman. I mean, oh my God, I can still remember sitting in the theater watching it. That was phenomenal. And then this actually, in my opinion, kind of also throws me back to some sentimental of being able to be in a theater, seeing Michael Keaton come out to the screen as Batman again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that for us guys that were there when it all began, it's almost stealing us a little bit of a
hell yeah. It began at midnight for you and me on that night in June.
I know. So
That's
I
when we were
mean,
still young enough we could do that.
do that shit. I know. It's a little rougher now when we stay up that late, but no.
No
So
kidding.
that's what I'm saying.
Gotta
It
get
just
my Geritol out if we're gonna do that.
so but yeah, to steal that little bit of thunder from us and everything like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just it's not cool. It's not cool. Ezra.
Well,
Not
and
cool.
here's the other thing, and a couple things kind of address here, and then we got some comments we probably need to get into. I've heard before all this nonsense. I mean, yeah, the 2020 stuff had already happened, but like before all this recent nonsense, starting with all the Hawaii mayhem and everything, I guess they did some test screenings of the Flash, and it tested unbelievably well.
Mhm.
Like Warner Brothers thought they had $1 billion hit on their hands before all this happened, and then to have this, have this kind of, like you said, steal the thunder out of it. And I have heard, one thing I have heard is that Batgirl is getting some good early buzz. Like they've done some test screenings of that, and it's gotten some good. So, and there was a rumor that I heard that there were beyond route with Batgirl, which okay, I that's not really how that went, but okay, if you, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that if they did it right. But some of the reactions to that screening are like, no, like Batgirl and Batman have a legit adventure together. So I don't know. I was not a big fan of the costume reveal when they showed it.
Batgirl?
It looked kind of like a Batgirl looked kind of like cosplay to me, like not very good cosplay. Um,
Mhm.
but I said the same thing about Strange New World uniforms. So what do I know? But, but
You in uniform, bro.
hey,
man.
hey,
You in
I had to get something in there. I had to get a
great.
zing of something in there. But yeah, so I want Batgirl to be good, and maybe it'll kind of, I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know.
But anyway, so no, I mean, I think we're all go ahead, Goldar.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, no, I mean, I think what they release is probably gonna be great, but like, there's no way it would make any money if it was released in the theaters. Like, they would spend several $1,000,000 in marketing, and then of course it would inevitably tank because nobody wants to see Ezra Miller's face right now.
You don't think people
Uh,
go see it out of a morbid curiosity thing like Heath Ledger's Joker?
no, because nobody hated Heath Ledger.
True.
They just
True.
they just didn't have any faith that he would do well with the character. And then
Right.
it was the morbid curiosity of like the first few people that went to see it, and then they came out and they were like, "Oh, this is the best thing that we've ever seen."
Yeah.
And then everybody went to see it, and it blew up.
Right.
Yeah.
This is gonna be like, yeah, but this guy is like giving drugs to kids and like kidnapping them and like,
I know. I mean, I
Well,
agree with you.
he
That's the
probably makes all
problem.
these people. He probably makes these people wear all the same shirts with the same logos on them too. Sorry, Rev. I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's all right. It's all right. No, I was going to say you're right. I mean, it's going to be an Ezra Miller movie, and even with having Michael Keaton in it, yeah, I think people are just not going to want to go there and see it. So, just for Michael Keaton, I think I think it'll do better in the streaming vein just because of all this Ezra Miller BS. But it's just it's sad. It's sad.
It's unfortunate. So Sprout's got a couple of comments that I want to address. First, he said Doctor Doom is Iron Man meets Red Skull. Okay. I'll let you guys meet him in a dark alley and discuss that. But he says,
I mean, I got Doctor Doom's uniform was really never a power suit, if I remember correctly. I mean, a lot of his stuff was mystical and stuff. So
anyway, so he says, and we've talked about this before, but it bears speaking of again. Can't they just deep fake a new Flash's face? I mean, hell, those TikTok filters should work, right? They could do that, but that's going to cost money. I mean, if you want to, unless we want to run into the Henry Cavill mustache thing, it's going to cost probably a good $50 million. So you're going to sink at least that into it. The other thing is, because the way contracts work now, you can't just put a deep fake face over Ezra Miller. If any part of his body appears as that character in that film, he has to be paid. And so basically that's the way. That's why they'll never admit that is Eric Stoltz's fist that punches Biff. in Back to the Future. You know that story that what's his name? The guy that plays Biff. I can't remember his name. Thomas Wilson. You know, he swears up and down that they never reshot that scene.
Oh, really?
That's not Michael J. Fox when he punches him, like you're looking at Biff and he punches him at the bar. And he's like, no, we never reshot that scene. We didn't have time. So he swears that that's Eric Stoltz.
Really?
That punches him. But Bob Gale and Zemeckis are like, no, we were running at such a frantic pace. You know, he just forgot it, because if they ever own up to that, then they got to send Eric Stoltz a check, because that means his footage appeared in that film.
They're gonna wait until he's like good and dead before they admit that.
Well, if that's the case, he's gonna have to wait for his family to die too, because that family will come back. We're like, oh, wait, that was my great grandpappy.
So they probably could deep fake, like when they do the Mark Hamill deep fakes for the Mandalorian, they've already signed the contracts knowing they're going to do that, right? Like,
but you know that deep fake that they did was trash though. Like somebody out on the internet. Somebody out on the internet did it way better, and then Lucasfilm was like, "Oh, you did it better than us. You're hired."
Yeah. And then what he did 40-year-old Anakin fighting Obi-Wan.
Damn it, Christmas. They couldn't de-age him a little better to make that look a little more accurate. I'm like, hell, Ewan McGregor looked younger than Anakin in that fight scene. I was like, Annie, you're looking old as hell, bro.
Yeah, man, he used to looking bad. And then the Sprout's other comment is, which Batman? Seriously, if you bring out any Bat friend, you'll need 3 versions of it to fit in each of DC's universes. Yeah, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. So,
I mean, I know it's not part of the talk, but I'll tell you right now, man, I've got to echo what Goldar said. It's like, dude, I would give my left arm to see Michael Keaton in a Batman Beyond movie. Oh man, he would just kill it. You get him in there as that. I mean, you could even have a little bit of a scene. So if you remember the Batman Beyond animated series or the comic books, that
I never read the comic, but I watched the series for sure.
So I mean, he even had like a armorized bat suit that he was finding up until the point it was too much stress on his heart and stuff, and that's when he went into retirement. But so I mean, you could still even squeak in a little Batman Michael Keaton scene as Batman doing the fight right before he's about to hand it off. So, dude, Batman Beyond's got to happen.
And here's the thing too, and Goldar brought it up. The rumor has it Michael Keaton is not happy about this at all. I've seen Michael Keaton on some talk shows. I would not want that guy mad at me. I mean, he's a little crazy. I mean, have you guys seen him? Like, if there's a clip of him, I think he's on Fallon. He comes out like, dude, what did you do before you came out here? Like, I think he's promoting The Founder, if I remember right. But I'm like, it's either The Founder or the movie that he did with Maggie Q, where she's the hit woman.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those two, because it's a fairly like, dude, like he kind of like leaning over to James.
Protege?
Yes, yeah. I mean,
the protege.
Isn't off Michael Keaton be like leaning over to James Caan and whispering in his ear, "Hey, weren't you Sonny effing Corleone?" And just watch the eruption, kind of thing. So, but anyway, by the way, the B5 babe had a great comment about presumably referring to our deep fake comment. She goes, "Poor Anakin, it's not the years, it's the mileage."
Yep.
And I think that's as good a place as ever to jump off on our Obi-Wan review. What do you think, guys?
I think so. Thanks there. So anyway, yeah. Man, I can't get my rhythm tonight.
I know, it's okay. Dude, you've been gone for like a year.
I know, it feels like, I'm just like, I feel like I'm fumbling all over the place. So
we recast your part with Dick York. I
mean, well, as long as you did the deep fake face on it, I'm fine. It's okay.
Yeah, but it came out looking like Dwayne. We're not very good at it. So yeah, man, we recast you with who's it Mark Harmon was playing you? No, I'm fumbling for a good recasting joke, but I'm not finding it.
I'm not finding. You can't.
Coy and Vance were driving the soundboard. How's that? That's a real deep cut.
Oh, that is a deep cut. All right,
here we go.
We're going in with from Anakin to. That's right, fans. The Obi-Wan series first season is done, and I think
Are we getting
there's
another one.
getting another one. What?
Are we getting another season? You said season 1.
Yeah, there is talks, yes, of a season 2. And they're talking about bringing back a fast villain for another kind of like huge fight scene. So I don't know if it's going to get greenlit. I haven't heard anything, but from what I understand, Obi-Wan season 2 is in talks right now. So anyway,
Well, okay.
we will see. We will see. So I don't know. I mean, Sprouts had some words. I'm almost tempted to send him a link and let him jump on here real quick and let him.
I know.
Get him in there.
Brown's got some.
He got some hate, but all right. So let's go around the Goldar. What was your thoughts of Obi-Wan?
So
Kenobi.
so this is the Star Wars property that I was waiting for. Like since Revenge of the Sith came out, I said I don't care about anything else. Tell me what the hell Obi-Wan was doing for that like long stretch of time between episode 3 and episode 4. Like
Right.
he just like eating sand or something. Like what is he doing out there for a while? So when they finally announced this, I was super excited because like I didn't care about the Solo movie. I didn't care about Rogue One.
A lot of people didn't care about the Solo movie.
I didn't care about the sequel trilogy. I'm like, I don't care about any of this. Tell me what Obi-Wan is doing. Then we finally got it, and I was like, okay, well, that's what Obi-Wan was doing. I think my disappointment with this series came with the fact that we got another round of sad Jedi. Like I'm lonely. I'm just by myself. I'm not training. I'm not doing anything. I'm just hiding. And while it was most appropriate for this show,
yes,
considering what Obi-Wan was doing and what was going on and staying within canon, after having seen it in The Last Jedi, it was just like, this is not what I want to see right now.
Nope.
Kathleen Kennedy, what are you doing?
She only has 3 scripts, dude.
So, and then of course, my thought was like, wait, isn't Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau in charge of all this shit? Like, what the fuck is this?
Actually, they're not. They weren't in charge of this,
and
I think it shows.
And it shows.
Yeah,
because we got sad Jedi, we got more Skywalker stuff. See, my biggest complaint here also is that we cannot get away from the Skywalkers in any Star Wars property, and it's maddening. Like Solo and Rogue One were the first 2 to really try to do that, and I feel
1
like
out of 2 ain't bad.
What's that?
I said 1 out of 2 wasn't bad. I mean, I enjoyed Rogue One.
Rogue One
I liked them
great.
both, actually. I think it's sad that the weakest part of the Han Solo movie is the actor that is playing Solo.
Yeah, I thought the Han Solo movie was okay. Like, but at the same time, like I really didn't care to do his Han Solo movie. Like, he was probably the last character that I want to like do like a side story. I would have started with somebody else and then led into that.
Dude, I want to see Childish Gambino come back as Lando. He was owning that damn movie.
Yeah. Maybe like a Lando movie would be interesting, like kind of interesting, or just like I see it. I would have been all in for like a Boba Fett movie, like if they had done like Boba Fett just right, like for a film, instead of what we got for Book of Boba Fett.
So there's a lot of rumors going around that when Solo tanked, it basically ran a lot of these Star Wars story movies aground, because it was Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and that made $1 billion. It was Solo, a Star Wars story, that made $1. And so they had all these scripts in development, and you could really tell this with Book of Boba Fett for sure. And I don't know about Mandalorian, because Mandalorian is Mandalorian's a gold standard for these shows, right? I mean, I think Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have shown that they really know what they're doing. But I've heard that Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett started life as movies, and they got expanded into these 6 or 8 hour shows. And to me, that really is telling. Like, you can really see the strains of that. And I'm going to read a comment that Sprout posted. I'm going to throw it back to Goldar because it mirrors something he said, like in a text one night. He said Kenobi is the biggest disappointment of a Jedi since Qui-Gon. He goes, Ben could have killed Vader twice. He didn't. So in essence, he allowed Anakin to blow up Alderaan and kill 2 billion people. By default, that makes Kenobi an honorary Sith.
Yeah. So like that was the other thing about this show. It's like, ain't nobody check to make sure anybody's dead. like like Obi-Wan just totally left Anakin on that planet. Burned to a crisp. Didn't even check to make sure he's dead. And it's like, but he killed all the younglings. So why are you just walking away and letting this happen?
Yeah.
He leaves, right? Then he has another chance to take him out too. Destroyed his mask, put the hurt on him. He ran a serious fade on Vader. Hardcore, gave him a high.
You want to be
fade.
throwing rocks?
Yeah.
I mean,
he was throwing rocks at him. But
well,
then
hit
he was
you
just
with the planet there, Vader.
Yeah, and then he was just like, nah, peace out. I'm just gonna leave. I'm kind of getting frustrated with the Jedi at this point. They can't have any fun. They don't kill anybody. They don't seem to enjoy any drinks. They don't enjoy any women. They don't even enjoy any cool powers except for coming back from the dead. Who wants to do that? If you're dead, just enjoy the paradise. You know what I'm saying?
Qui-Gon's back. He's like, damn it, I was having a good time. And
my thing is apparently the only two people in the Star Wars universe that a lightsaber through the stomach is lethal to is Qui-Gon Jinn and Han freaking Solo.
Right? It's just
even Darth Maul got cut in half, and that sucker still showed back up. He lived. But no,
the Inquisitor gets stabbed and he comes back all healthy and shit. And I'm just like, what the fuck is this?
Hell, Reba been stabbed twice by Darth Vader.
Yeah, they didn't even explain any of that. They were just nah, they just mortally wounded, and they just come right on back.
They literally was like, live with it, fans, because that's what we got. You just don't need to understand how, she's standing in front of Anakin, and then she just played dead with the body. And I'm like, Anakin didn't just shove a lightsaber through you? I mean, just so you'd fall down thinking everybody was dead?
I don't know. If I got stabbed one time by Anakin, I'm probably not going to get stabbed again. Right. That's my thought. She totally fumbled this because her whole plan was to get Vader the whole time. Why did she wait until she could try to do it by herself when she knew he could just put hands on her?
All right,
she should have teamed up with Obi-Wan and tried to tag team it, and then she could have tried to kill Obi-Wan after that.
And that would have been a ridiculously stupid good fight. Can you imagine Vader fighting the two of them?
Oh, no.
Her with that spinning saber and Obi. Oh, dude, that would have been dope.
Yeah,
that would have been dope. But so here's the thing, and I know. And I've got to preface this because I know Moses Ingram caught a lot of unnecessary bad shit on social media by that very small group of fans that are toxic, and I do feel for her for that because she didn't. Because here's the thing, she didn't do this; the actors did. My God, they were saying such bad stuff to her about her performance. Like, dude, Denzel Washington couldn't have shined that turd of a character up. I mean, her motivations were so confusing. After about 3 rounds of mental gymnastics to trying to figure them out, I just gave up on it. Even the writers don't know, because that's one thing I hate about, and this is not just specific to Kenobi, to all these Netflix shows or whatever. I hate it when you're down to the last 2 episodes and a character that has been one way makes this huge dramatic flip, that's supposed to be a big dramatic reveal, and you go, no, wait a minute. If you were really good, you still cut an old lady's hands off in episode 1. You know what? Sorry, you don't get no pass for that. You cut this lady's hands off, man. She could have been a mom. How's she gonna pick her baby up now? I mean, sorry, it doesn't work. It just does not work. So I know that the actors caught a lot, but I don't know if there's anything that any actor or actress could have done, with that part. What do you guys think about that?
I don't think there's much that could be done to make the character better. Um, I haven't really gotten a chance to sit down and think about how I would have done things differently with the character, but I definitely would not have made her somebody that would spend all those years working for the empire
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden like in 5 minutes try to flip. And then what's the crazy part is like she tried to flip and kill Vader, and then when she realized she fucked that up, she was like, "Well, I'll just go kill Luke Skywalker." Like, wait a minute, like you were just on this. We just had this big reveal that you're not actually a bad person, and then you go turn right back around and do bad stuff. Like what?
So here's something else. And Reverend, I promise I'm gonna let you talk here in a minute. I
Sure.
promise. Um, so when I was in college as an elective, I took a screenwriting class. Okay. And it served me really well, as you can see what I'm doing for a living. But I wanted to do it. And one of the things that they taught you in there is that your screenplays, when you construct them, you need as a writer to decide, okay, where's the audience going to be? Is the audience going to be behind the character, meaning like your character is figuring stuff out and revealing it to the audience, kind of like a detective show, or a detective type thing? Or is your audience going to be with the character, meaning we're figuring the stuff out at the same time the character is, and or is the audience going to be ahead of the character, which is something Hitchcock would do a lot. They would make he would create his suspense by the audience knowing something the character doesn't, and therefore the character's making mistakes and the audience is going, no, 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 don't do that. And any one of these is valid, but you just need to decide how you want to do it. Did you notice this show kept switching POVs like at random? Like 1 minute we were with the characters, the next minute we were behind the characters, the next minute we were ahead of the characters. And that sometimes, and Turtle Gal pointed this out, the characters were doing shit because the plot said they had to do it. They, like this is something for my tabletop role players that I got to go, nah, like, how did Reva know that kidnapping Leia would flush Obi-Wan out? How did she know that? Yeah, like how, why did it, basically she did it because the script told her to. There was a lot of meta, like the characters did things based on what the audience knew, not what the characters would do. So
And like, how did Obi-Wan know that like he needed to go find Luke after
yeah,
like she found out? Like, how did he know she found out and he needed to go? Like,
yeah.
I understand there's like a disturbance in the force or whatever, but that sounds like plot armor to me. Like,
yeah, oh yeah. There's a lot of plot armor being thrown around. Even characters that shouldn't have had it had plot armor.
Mm-hmm.
Sprout made some comics here and everything like that. So let me get caught up.
Okay, yeah.
He said Solo was good, but again, a story that didn't need to be told. He then added in, how the hell did she get to Tatooine and attack Luke before Kenobi could even get away from the Star Destroyer? She was left for dead by Vader on said Star Destroyer. Well, that's inaccurate. She was actually stabbed in the hangar that the Resistance fled from.
Yeah,
wasn't on the Star Destroyer. But again, it doesn't matter. Then that means she has still had to find the only ship that I saw is the one that Vader pulled that down and then ripped a big hole of it, and then there. So I don't know how she beat Kenobi there when she had literally no ship. And then he adds, and how did Owen and Baru kick a Grand Inquisitor's ass with some sticks and a couple of Wana rifles, but get smoked by shitty troopers in A New Hope?
Yeah. Oh, right. Oh my God. Okay.
And then one last one. They just posted it overall. Ewan did a fantastic job as a troubled, scared Kenobi, and little Leia actress was amazing.
See that I'm in the minority on this because I did not like the baby Leia or kid
baby Leia.
Yeah, because to me she came across like she's supposed to be 10 years old. She came across like she was 7 years old. I mean, I realize it's really tough getting child actors to perform and all that kind of stuff, but she did not work. I'm not criticizing her personally. I just do not. She did not work for me. Now I want to jump on something Sprout said about Obi. This is another one of these things. Well, the script said it had to happen, when he talked about Reva getting the Tatooine before Obi-Wan did. Okay, so a lot of times in this show, and I'm going to use this term very broadly to talk about whether I'm talking about the galaxy or the terrain. The geography of this show does not make sense. Just like Reva beating Obi-Wan back to Tatooine. You remember, was it in episode 3 where we had the Jedi Underground Railroad and they're evacuating, and it looks like there's this one tunnel that like takes you out, right?
Right.
Okay. So Tala and Obi-Wan and baby Leia run down this tunnel.
Right.
Well, then
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
then Tala doubles back and Reva finds it, and the way she finds it is because there's a big red button, you know, that reveals this might be a secret entrance to a tunnel. So she hits it and she heads down the tunnel. Well, Tala runs back, never runs into Reva.
Right.
They never encounter each other. And then when Leia's been running through this tunnel, she runs into Reva, who's already ahead of her. I'm like, what? But I mean, they didn't show.
Already beat her there and killed the pilot.
Yeah.
And was just standing there. Not that she had to do like a whole major battle. She could just kind of,
Oh, yeah.
with it. But I mean, yeah.
But here's the thing, like, they didn't show that this was some labyrinthine tunnel system. It looked like basically an aqueduct. I mean,
yeah.
Am I the only one am I making a mountain out of a molehill on this, or is that's
no. I was asking the same thing. I was like, how did she beat her down there? She came in after several minutes, if you will, after they already took off. And so I never understood how she beat him down there, and it's kind of the same thing that, that I had the issue with Doctor Strange too, is where, Scarlet Witch, they're waiting for her to come through the blast doors, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
She just steps out from the side, like, boom. I'm like, where the hell did she just come from? And I understand they were trying to do a jump scare or something like that, but I was just like, that's stupid. And this was the same thing for me. I was like, Reva just popping up where Leia needed to be. Again, for no reason other than, I don't know why she felt Leia was important to take her. I guess maybe that's where she knew Obi-Wan was probably protecting this little girl, so that's why she took her. But I don't know. It just was nothing was really
and if she wanted to flush Obi-Wan out, if she thought she could flush Obi-Wan out by kidnapping Leia, why didn't she just freaking follow Bail Organa? He freaking walked right into Obi-Wan's cave on Tatooine.
Well, and the other question too is like, if we were really trying to flush people out, like we know that like Obi-Wan was on Tatooine. He was watching Luke. Why didn't she just kidnap Luke? Why did he pick Leia?
Right. I don't know.
And if she knew about Leia, then how did she not know about Luke as well?
There's just there was just too much going on there. And I mean, it's not like Anakin knew that he had these kids out there, like, hey, go kidnap one of them to flush out,
yeah,
and all that stuff.
Hopefully, he would have freaking thought of that.
Yeah,
yeah, and it's like, yeah, exactly. It's like, how did she know like kidnapping these kids, like, anything at all, like had anything to do with anything? Like,
right.
Did she just know that he was just watching them, or did she know the significance of them? And if she did, why didn't she use them against Vader?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man.
You know what? You know what I'm gonna do? So I'm gonna go kill Vader's son that he doesn't know about. That'll teach his ass.
That's right.
It just.
I mean, and this show's dumb. I mean, that's actually. I said this, and I think we got off on a tangent a couple weeks ago before the show. It feels like it was a show written for children. It feels like a Disney Channel show, not a Disney Plus show.
And what was I going to say? And the thing that even confused me, and it was at the ending part. It's like, so apparently Reva comes back, gives back knocked out Luke, and and she's crying and everything like that. And Obi-Wan helps her up, and then like, okay, I guess that's the end of Reva's story. I'm like, where the hell did she go? Is she now on Tatooine too, living on the other side, helping watch Luke? I mean, where'd she go? And apparently Tatooine is the place to bury lightsabers. I don't know. Everybody's throwing lightsabers down in the sand out.
Yeah.
Look, you trying to tell me little Luke never found that shit?
He's like, what's this? Whoa, I've seen this movie before. So,
he didn't play with your toy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the other thing, I'm going to circle back to this too. Like, why the hell don't the Jedi have any cooler powers? Like they've got suggestion, they've got like telekinesis, and then they got Force Ghost, and that's it. They don't have any other cool shit. Like nobody thought, like especially Yoda, for as long as he's lived, nobody thought that they could come up with any other kind of powers like flying or like teleporting or anything like
Well,
that.
they got the distance jump, they got speed running.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, this is why I just need to hand you my Power of the Jedi source book. That role playing game has taken every power from every book and thrown it in there. Like it got to the point where as a GM, I'm like, no more Jedi in the game. I mean, they had so many powers, it was ridiculous.
Well,
I mean,
I wish they would take some of that stuff from the game, put it in the shows or the movies. Like
Yep.
at this point, like I feel like Star Wars should be like Dragon Ball Z. Like people
yes.
just doing all kinds of wild shit all the time. Like
And
just
you know what? I'm glad you said that because before this Disney reboot or whatever, that's about like what it was. Like the Jedi were getting to the well, I mean, but what was neat was like they were doing things in the novels like the New Jedi Order where they were fighting this enemy that had invaded the galaxy that was Force dead, and so you couldn't use the Force on them.
Hmm.
And it was a great challenge for the Jedi because they couldn't sense them. They couldn't now they could like still pick up rocks and throw them at them, but they couldn't
Yeah.
like like
manipulate their minds. You
yeah,
couldn't,
yeah.
you know.
It was pretty cool.
Yep.
And anyway, yeah, the Jedi had a lot cooler powers before Kathleen Kennedy got a hold of.
so it sounds like Star Wars really needs to start taking cues from the books and the comic books at this
Oh,
point.
The
They
ones
should.
that Kathleen
Or-
Kennedy said they don't have.
Well, I mean, if anything, though, they should just turn the keys over to John Favreau and
Yeah.
get out of his way.
Okay, so I want to piggyback on that because we know Favreau and Filoni are working together. I don't think Clone Wars is a perfect show, but it's a damn good show, right? Same thing with Rebels and some of these other things. I've loved nearly everything Favreau's done with The Mandalorian. One of which was hiring Deborah Chow to direct some of the best episodes of that show, which she directed all these. I think we see in this Obi-Wan series, as people are like, how Deborah Chow dropped the ball. I think we're seeing the power and strength of a good producer because this needed some energy that was not there. I mean, it's the same thing with Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige can't direct all these Marvel films, but he has a presence that he can go to bat for you, or he can guide you, or say, no, this doesn't have the right energy. Whatever it is your particular project's needing, that's what Kevin Feige can bring. And I think Favreau and Filoni have the potential to bring that to Star Wars. Like you said, Reverend, if they'll get out of their way.
Yep. Sprout just popped in. Kenobi was a badass in the series, but was a bitch in A New Hope, power wise.
Well, your powers are weak, old man.
Right.
Well, that's the other thing too. Like, how in the fuck did Obi-Wan get so strong? Like by the end of the episode, like he could barely handle Vader at the beginning, and then all of a sudden he got all of his strength back. I'm like, what?
See,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. So basically, I think there was a lot of self-doubt there, and that's why he was having problems tapping into the Force. But I think as he, as the show went along, Kenobi was understanding that it was never really his fault that Anakin went to the dark side. And he did that was probably something that he had been dealing with internally, fear, wondering, what did I do wrong, where did I fail him, and all that stuff, and that doubt leads to suffering. And so I
see what you did there.
you like that,
I like
so I think that's what it was. And I think he just, as Kenobi kind of just began to forgive himself, his ability to tap into the Force, became stronger.
Okay, so I want to jump on that for a second because I agree 100% with what you said. But then, okay, so despite the jokes about the deep faking, one of the things that really did work was the flashback scene between Obi-Wan and Anakin.
Yeah.
And that was obviously Attack of the Clones era, or pre-Attack of the Clones, because he didn't have his fake arm yet. So my thing is, if they really wanted to ram that point home, what would have made this show really awesome, and we talk, and guys, we talked about this off camera, but I'm just bringing it up. They should have done a flashback in every single episode that the flashback ran with the theme of that particular episode. And it had a string of thought, like what you said with Obi-Wan going, how did I miss this? You know, like he would be thinking back to a particular time with him and Anakin where he's like, I should have seen this, you
Right.
know, or maybe I shouldn't have seen it, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, you kind of showed in the flashback scene that okay, you know, your Padawan is kind of a douche. I mean, you've kind of figured that out already.
Right.
But but again, it was almost like the writers weren't up for that. Like, can you imagine trying to come up with a Clone Wars era flashback thematically that ran through every one of those episodes, like either one long flashback that played out over the course of all the episodes, or you know, kind of like the island stuff on Arrow, or just do one you know, see different planets and different sieges
Yeah.
and different eras of the Clone Wars, and where Obi-Wan should have saw Anakin doing things that he missed. That would have been brilliant, and we would have gotten to see more of Hayden. You know,
Yeah.
and but I just again that would have required writers with a little bit more vision. You know, and
Right.
like we said,
You know what have
Uben-
been? I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, you know what have been probably a cool flashback sequence is the whole investigation about Palpatine being kidnapped by Dooku and how Obi-Wan and Anakin chase that down and see that kind of progression. Because basically, you know, what Kenobi again is trying to rescue somebody.
Yeah.
So how about tell that story how they went
Oh.
after Palpatine to rescue him and see maybe where that in and out happened. Because, you know, at the end, we see Anakin literally get a dark side point, if you will,
Mhm.
like cutting Dooku's head off just because
Yeah.
Palpatine told him. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that'd have been a really fun story to tell. Like I say, we would have gotten more Hayden because, you know, that was kind of like supposed to be the big draw is that
Yeah.
he was coming back to reprise the role.
Absolutely.
So, and I was wondering, you know, how they were going to do that, considering that they were talking that he had kind of beefed up a little bit to kind of fill out the Vader suit. Because my understanding is he wanted to put it on, he wanted to wear it,
Yeah.
and so that was him in the outfit.
And I
Yeah.
also think what would have been better for this show too is if it had just been Obi-Wan on the run. Like the entire series, he was on
Yeah.
the run. And we
Yeah,
saw flashbacks that entire time. Rather than him trying to rescue Leia and Luke
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Let's leave the Skywalkers out and let's focus on
Yeah.
Leia, you know, Obi-Wan for like 6.5 episodes. We can touch on like the Skywalkers at the very end to kind of lead into, you know, where it goes into episode 4. But like if it had been just like just a constant chase through the entire thing and him looking back and, you know, flashbacks, but also like dealing with that internal grief and guilt and frustration and anger that he failed his Padawan. And that was the source of him, you know, losing his ability to tap into the Force. And then by the end of the series, you know, he's no longer running anymore. He's able to tap back into the Force,
Right.
and he no longer feels any guilt for anything that he didn't do, and he realizes that it wasn't his fault anymore by the
Yeah.
end of it.
And my friend is truly dead. You
Yeah.
know, that's
Right.
yeah.
How do you guys feel about that? Because you know, I read an article that they had posted that they were trying to legitimize his lying to Luke about Vader killing his father.
That was pointless. There was no need to do that.
Right.
There was no
I
oh my
think we
God.
were all fine with the fact that, you know, in a sense, Vader had killed Anakin, and I was
Yeah.
like, I get it. It's all about point of view and everything. So
I mean,
Uh,
this
I-
this this whole or Sprout even said a flashback like the Kung Fu series. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Um there's you know, and I felt like I was watching that they'd filmed a Star Wars RPG scenario written by a 14-year-old. That's what I felt like I was watching. I
And
just
Stormtroopers still can't shoot.
oh my God, don't even okay.
Well, how
Okay.
many years, how many decades later is this? Stormtroopers still
That's-
can't shoot.
You know, I thought most of the duels were actually pretty good, but it was in places like it was in shit like that this show's budget and its choreography really let it down. Like that sequence there at the Fortress Inquisitorius. No one would dare attack this place. Why the fuck not? I mean, you got 2 squadrons of TIE fighters you never launched, you know. Poor Doug that got killed there. Doug got killed. Trying to rescue Doug. No, it's like, really? I've known this guy for 30 seconds. I mean, my God.
Yeah. And they were all sad about it too for like a good 2-3 minutes, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, I don't care. Like, I'm sorry, Doug. Like, you made a noble sacrifice for me to be entertained.
Yeah, but by God, let's not launch those 28 TIE fighters that are hanging in the racks, that could easily stop all this. And by the way,
it's like, what? Y'all just not even gonna chase after them to find?
Yeah,
But then they were like, yeah, we put a tracking beacon on them. Like, what? Like,
how many times is putting a tracker on something and let the rebels get away?
And here's the thing:
damn Empire's greatest scheme.
Did you see that there was an
and
article?
it works 2 times.
Well, they did an article where they're like, Reva gave Vader that idea. Bullshit. Reva's like, hey man, that was a Hail Mary play for her because I fucked this up and they got away and I fucked that up. So here's my Hail Mary play. Maybe it'll keep me from getting force choked, and shoot, man. Okay, now I can just imagine this on a whiteboard, right? Okay, Goldar and Reverend, at this point, Obi-Wan's in this corridor and stormtroopers and these searcher droids come out and they're shooting at him from both sides and he's got nothing but a lightsaber to fend him off. You guys are like, oh my God, that looks great. No, it doesn't. Not the way this was choreographed. Because apparently it was literally like a role-playing game. Like, okay, this squad gets to go in this round. Obi-Wan, I got initiative, bitches. I mean,
hey, so I have another question too.
Okay,
this kind of goes.
I don't know if we're gonna have any answers, but
this goes back to Reva. But so I'm assuming that Vader has to sleep at some point because he's still partially human. I don't know why she wouldn't try to sneak up on him when he's trying to sleep. Like, okay, maybe he wakes up or whatever, but plant some bombs in his room or something and just blow that shit up while he's sleeping. Like, if your goal was to kill him, you don't have to use a lightsaber to do it, right?
I know.
Wasn't there a scene where he's back in a Bacta tank or something like that?
Yeah.
Continues to, dude, poison that shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well,
fentanyl right there.
So,
just boom, done.
So the B5 babe did bring up a good point in the chat. She goes, we should be really glad that we didn't get the Jar Jar spinoff.
This is true.
But you know what though? At least then you know what you're gonna get.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
there would be no one would have any hope of that show at all. Be like, oh, I know what I'm getting out of this show. I'm gonna either watch it or not, but I'm not expecting a masterpiece.
I heard a rumor that Sony has plans for a Jar Jar show.
Oh my God. Hopefully it's just for kids.
He go fight Venom.
They're gonna put him in the Spider-Man universe because they don't know what else to do.
Oh my God.
Oh boy.
Let's make Kraven the Hunter an animal lover.
And that's it. Kraven's trying to kill Jar Jar. That's it.
There you go.
And Jar Jar
Kraven's last hunt.
And it'll literally be just like episode 1, every Kraven will not kill him because Jar Jar, every time he's going to take the shot, Jar Jar will trip over some shit or slam a door in his face. It'll
be like Mr. Bean or something like that.
So what I'm hearing is it's Naked Gun. This is Kraven the Hunter, Naked Gun, with Jar Jar Binks. I mean, this is what it would be.
I'd go see that movie. I would so go see that movie.
I probably would too. It'd be a matinee. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna pay top dollar, but I'd go see that on.
Okay, so B5 babes, they'd make Jar Jar a Sith. This is no lie. There is evidence that was actually the initial plan.
I know.
Was that Jar Jar was going to be the big bad, that he was going to be assisting Darth Sidious, and that's why he'd been banished from the Gungan city because he was messing around with the dark side of the Force. That his clumsiness was actually it was all a ruse.
Right.
Oh, so he's Kaiser Sozeing the entire thing.
Yeah. And because of the fan backlash, Lucas backpedaled because we were supposed to find that big reveal out at the end of Attack of the Clones. Remember, because Jar Jar voted to give the Chancellor his emergency powers.
Yeah.
And so that was supposed to be him, not Count Dooku. He was walking with in that warehouse. And that's supposed to be a big reveal that he did that. So
he
that would have been.
Yeah, he should have stuck with that.
Yeah.
'Cause, like, everybody already hated the character anyway, so
Yeah.
that would have just given him more fuel to be like, all right, let me
Yeah.
write this into the story.
Yeah. Like you can't hate
You know
him
what?
anymore.
I think everybody would have rejoiced and loved the character to see that type of payout. I'd be like, oh my god, they would have been.
Yeah.
It would have been almost. I have a feeling or a thought that it would have almost been a bigger reveal than Luke. I am your father.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that would
Absolutely.
have just blown people's mind. They had an opportunity to have that same shock moment,
Mhm.
and they missed it.
Lucas backpedaled. He got scared and didn't do it. So yeah. So I mean, I
Which
know
is
you're
funny,
joking,
'cause
but
he got scared and backpedaled on this character. Like,
yeah,
like you should have got scared and backpedaled introducing the character.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
now you should have went full heads on, steam
Yep.
ahead with
Mhm.
that.
Yep.
yeah. Well, and like I say, you know how I am. I'm a fan edits. I love me some fan edits. I've seen some stuff that, like some fan edits where they replaced Jar Jar's language like with an alien language, and they rewrote his lines and subtitles and make the characters not too bad. The same thing with the Trade Federation guys. They give them an alien language and make their dialogue more sinister. I'm like, damn, there's a good movie here. I mean, there's an excellent movie here. So, but oh well, no one asked me. So we got okay. So I think the things that worked were Ewan and Hayden, and my God, thank you for bringing back James Earl Jones to do Darth Vader's voice.
Yep.
And I actually did like the character of Tala as well.
Yeah, I did too.
Did you guys think some of the visual effects looked cheap?
Yeah.
I didn't really notice any kind of cheapness for the visual effects. I thought they were okay.
Okay, because like some of them looked really really good, and then other ones like, it looks a little video game-ish. I mean, but I've said before, I think they've kind of pushed that stagecraft technology to the limit, and I can't tell if they're relying on it too much or if they've pushed it as far as they can go, and now the cracks are starting to show. You know what I mean? Because I get it. These things they're still TV. They still got to be made on a schedule, on a budget. I mean, I get it, but I still expect it to look better than the Arrowverse. I mean, damn. So,
All right, we're going to go into so we got two more topics for the evening. Do
Mhm.
we want to save the big one to the very end and just kind of cover Chris?
yeah, let's talk about Chris Claremont. And matter of fact, why don't you guys? I left that out of my notes, so
Oh,
why
okay.
don't you guys introduce that?
So, Goldar, go for it, man.
Yeah, so apparently Chris Claremont, who is a very popular Marvel writer. In fact, he wrote one of the longest runs for the X-Men in the 90s, is returning to Marvel Comics, X-Men specifically, to write a limited series for Gambit, which I thought was an interesting choice because I didn't think Gambit would be the one that he would return for. I thought he would return for Wolverine, since that character is super popular, or even just return to the X-Men because Jonathan Hickman wrote an awesome run most recently for X-Men, Powers of 10 and House of 10, or not House of 10, Powers of X and I can't remember the other one. But he wrote two runs for it, and I thought Chris Claremont would come back for that, but he's coming back to write Gambit. So I'm kind of curious as to where this is going to go, because last we left off with Gambit, he was on Krakoa with all the island of where the mutants are residing now. So to give some backstory for everybody where Gambit is right now, basically, we discovered that Moira McTaggart was a mutant that had the ability to return to life after dying, with all of her memories and all of her history. So we found out that she had died multiple times, and every time that she died, it was because there was some massive event in which the humans killed all the mutants or created sentinels. Different timelines happen different ways, but it ultimately resulted in the extinction of the mutant race. So she kept coming back and trying to discover a way to help mutants survive. And in one iteration of her life, she went directly to Charles Xavier and said, "Yo, read my mind. This is what's going to happen." And Charles immediately was like, "Oh, this is a big deal. So we need to get on the same page with some of the other mutants." So Charles immediately, with Moira, goes to Magneto and says, "Yo, we got to be on the same page right now. We can't be fighting each other with the Brotherhood of Mutants. None of that stuff, because we're about to die." And they allowed Magneto to read their minds as well. Magneto's like, "Oh, I see what you're saying. No more fighting. We're friends now. We're gonna run the X-Men together." So basically, what ended up happening was they formed the nation of Krakoa. They basically became separatists. All the bunch of mutants were like, "We're done with the human race. We're leaving." They joined their own island. They created these, or I think they cultivated rather, these plants that basically gave people the ability to resolve many of their long-term illnesses, such as cancer, AIDS, all of this stuff, and they sold it to the human race for profit, right? And this is how they managed to fund their island venture, essentially.
I'm a capitalist, so I'm down with that.
Yes. And then those same plants also formed gateways that they could travel to all over the world. So what they did was they basically recruited all the mutants across the world and said, "Hey, do you want to come to Krakoa? Nobody's going to persecute you there. You can come and join us. We got plenty of money. We got plenty of people. We're going to have a party." So they basically all congregate to this island. Yep. This island of Krakoa, which, by the way, is actually a living island.
Sound like some Coachella shit.
Yeah.
Burning Man.
It is.
Burning Man.
It's actually a living island. And basically all the mutants congregated there. And they also gathered 5 different mutants that have special abilities that basically result in the ability to resurrect a mutant that dies.
Mm-hmm.
And they have the ability also, with the help of Forge, of restoring their memories as well. So you can basically die and then come back to life and be reborn over again. So there were several stories that took place after this point. I can't quite remember all of them, but this is basically where Gambit is picking up from. He's basically on this island of Krakoa with all the other mutants. So I think, given how interesting Chris Claremont made the X-Men in the 90s, we could be in for an interesting run for Gambit.
Did they say how long the run is? It's not very long, is it?
I didn't see how long it was, but they said limited run. So I imagine it's probably maybe 6 to 12 issues or something to that effect.
Let me see if I can find that again. I had that story up, and then I don't know how I got left out of the notes.
Was that the island you were talking about, Goldar? Is that the same island that the original X-Men are captured by, and then Charles Xavier forms the new X-Men to go arrest them that had like Colossus and Wolverine and Storm and all that stuff? Because I remember the name of that island.
I believe that is the same island, if I remember right. That was in the giant size X-Men.
Yep.
Volume 2 or volume? I think it was volume 2.
I think it was volume 2, exactly.
Yeah, no, I think it is Krakoa. And there's also another island called Araco, and I think it's in another dimension, if I believe. And the 2 islands used to be one, but they separated. This House of 10, Powers of 10 is an insane story. Apocalypse joins their island and doesn't want to kill anybody. He's like just there chilling. Like, yeah, Mr. Sinister is there too. He's their scientist.
They're both on the beach, like they're like slipping Mai Tais, watching.
That's what he makes it sound like.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, some of the X-Men villains join. Now they're not to be necessarily trusted, but they're there. They're joined there. Like, and there's actually a big story with Apocalypse, and the next story that comes after that called I think it's called 10 of Swords. It's a big story for him, and it explains why his whole motivation is for like survival of the fittest and everything like that. It was to prepare the mutants for the coming apocalypse, for when the gateway to Araco opens up and his former children come through and try to destroy and take over the world. Yeah, it's insane. I was like, wow, I'm really in for Apocalypse right now. And that I shouldn't be.
Wow.
So,
well, according to this article, and the article I'm looking at is at comicbook.com, or I'm sorry, comicbookmovie.com, and I'm sure there's other places to find it. It's going to be a 5-issue series, and number 1 arrives on the comic book shelves or store shelves on July 27th. And the cover is dope for issue number 1.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me look this up. By the way, Chris Claremont had a 17-year run on the X-Men.
Oh man.
So if
Well,
that
if I
tells you
remember
anything,
correctly, he was didn't I think he actually worked on the Dark Phoenix story, you know, when
Oh, yeah.
Jean Grey. Yeah, yeah, that's how old I mean, not say he's old, but I mean that's how far back he goes with the X-Men. I mean, this is back when Jean Grey, you know, basically became Dark Phoenix or became Phoenix and then Dark Phoenix and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, he was involved with all that back then.
Okay,
Oh,
well, if
yeah.
I'm looking at, if I'm interpreting what this article is doing here, they've got, you know how they've got all these variant covers for the comics now, you know, that's what they're doing.
Yep.
They've got all the different covers displayed here in like the first couple of pages, but there's no dialogue. And most of the variant covers look pretty cool too.
Cool.
But anyway, if
Yeah.
anybody's interested, they could look at the article there. It's on our Facebook page, and we posted it on June 24th.
yeah. So I'm super excited. Just like IT Geek was saying, Chris Claremont was involved in writing the Dark Phoenix story. Another good story is God Loves, Man Kills. Days of Future Past, like
Yep.
all the really good X-Men
Yeah.
stories from the
Yes.
mid 70s all the way to the early 90s. Chris Claremont was involved in. So
Well, and
this is a
Simon,
big-
it's a good thing he's coming back, as Simon Kinberger's running out of stories to screw up. So
well, since he's not going to be working at Marvel Studios, fingers crossed.
yeah, we hope.
I'm still I am that's why I'm excited for the MCU because we still don't have any idea how the mutants are coming, and we're on the cusp of like getting an X-Men movie. Like
Yeah.
I'm kind of foaming at the mouth because given what they did, what they gave us for Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, they gave us the OG Professor Xavier from the X-Men cartoon in the yellow hover chair. And
Yep.
they played the theme when he came out too.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'm like, this. So if Marvel like really pays off on the theme, we might get classic Chris Claremont X-Men Team Gold and Team Blue. Oh
Yep.
boy, this is going to be a big deal when they show up.
Yep.
I'm super excited.
Yep. Very good.
All right, guys. It's
Well, with that, I think we can move right into our last segment, and that's probably the most anticipated segment.
yeah. Once
An
again,
anticipated movie, which comes out next week.
yeah.
And that
Yeah.
would be Thor: Love and Thunder.
Love and-
Continuing on the Marvel trend.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I'm gonna let Goldar take the lead on this because he's the one that actually found the story.
So continuing on the Marvel trend, Kevin Feige has told us that there are multiple iterations of Thor that they could move on to next. So this is exciting because we know that Chris Hemsworth rather has expressed interest in playing Thor for as long as they'll have him in the MCU. And we were just talking before we went on the show tonight that apparently he wants to play the character of Thor longer than Hugh Jackman played Wolverine, which Hugh Jackman played Wolverine for a solid 16 years, 15, 16, 17 years, something like that.
Yep.
It's a long old time.
Very long. So four X-Men movies and 3 solo films. And then an appearance, a cameo in another X-Men film, or I'm sorry, 2 X-Men films. I had to think about that for a second. I'm like, wait, how many films did he appear in?
So he did X-Men, X-Men 2, X-Men 3,
Last Stand.
So there's that. And then
he
he
had
did
a cameo in First Class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he was in Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he had a cameo in Apocalypse. And then he was not in Dark Phoenix. And then he had 3 solo movies.
I remember X-Men Wolverine Origin, and then I remember then he had
The Wolverine.
The Wolverine.
The Wolverine,
yeah.
and then
Wolverine went
Logan.
to
So,
Japan. Yeah.
And then he had
So
Logan.
so he's done 9 movies as Wolverine. So
I think 3 or
what's
4 of them
Chris-
are actually pretty good.
And so with Chris Hemsworth, he's done all right. So he's done the 3 Thor movies,
Now the fourth
then-
one.
and the 4th one. He's done 3 Avenger movies, right?
Oh, he's on 4 Avengers movies.
4
Yeah.
Avengers movies, okay. And so then he's also is he going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy
We
as well?
we don't know.
We
Don't
don't
know.
know yet.
So he's already done at least 8 movies as Thor. So technically, I don't know if he wants to be in. He wants to reprise the role more than Hugh Jackman did. So basically, if he did at least 2 more Thor movies or movies with Thor in it, he will succeed. He will exceed what Hugh Jackman's done. So, which he can do that probably easily in the next 5 years. So,
Mm-hmm.
but dude,
Yeah.
he is looking super jacked in this Thor movie.
He
Oh
is
my
Christ,
God.
jacked in this movie. He is
Dude.
jacked, like probably more so than he's ever been.
they're-
I know his
well,
arms are bigger than they've ever been. I think.
Yeah. Well, you also got to remember, I don't know when it's coming out or whether it's shot or not, but he was also getting in shape to do the biopic of Hulk Hogan. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'm wondering if this workout was in conjunction with it, because Hulk Hogan's a big guy, so I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
he
he had to
was.
get quite huge. And so so I'm dude, I was just like the arms just were like, holy hell, I don't remember him being that big.
Well, and
Especially after if you guys seen what is it on Netflix or something, the one where he looks all brainy and everything like that.
Spider or something.
Spider
Spiderhead.
Head.
I actually
Spiderhead.
watched that.
Isn't he
So
good?
I hear yeah, is it any good?
I enjoyed the idea or the concept, but the
Mhm.
execution wasn't quite what I was hoping for. It's just okay.
Okay.
But he looks nowhere the size in that movie on what he is doing with, Thor.
Right.
So he's
Well,
definitely eating them damn Wheaties, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament for what is the requirement for some of these Marvel films, because even Natalie Portman looks a little bit jacked for this movie.
Dude,
too.
I think that's CG. I
You
think
That
think
is
it's
not
CG?
CG, man. No way.
I don't know.
I think that's just some jealousy coming because their biceps are looking better than yours.
that would be true, but still, I think
I'm thinking that she did bulk up for this, because she's only still what, early and mid 40s. So
Yeah.
Brie Larson, I know Geek Boy doesn't really care for Brie Larson, but she was pushing a Jeep up a
Yeah.
hill when she was training for Captain Marvel. So
Yep.
that's pretty impressive to me.
Well,
yeah,
and not to
me
mention
too.
when they made the announcement with Natalie Portman coming back, coming to play the Thor, she had already mentioned that she had started her training and stuff. So I would not be, I'm not surprised that she looks as good as she does. I mean, that one pose where you can see that bicep right there. I mean, just locked in. Yeah, I think that's all on that.
yeah, guess we'll find out if we ever see any behind the scenes footage on it.
Yeah.
See her walking
So-
around with some big old Hulk green screen arms,
Yeah.
like Sheldon's Hulk smash.
But
So-
but yeah, Kevin
Well,
Feige said that we could
but
see
in all
multiple-
seriousness, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, Kevin Feige said that we could see multiple versions of Thor going forward in the future. So to name a few that we could potentially see, we could see Rune King Thor, which is basically Thor with the Odin Force taking over. We could see War Thor, which was a version of Thor based on a storyline that involved Mephisto. We could also see Herald of Galactus Thor, which was a story that ran, I believe, last year. That was actually really, really cool. And it also included a fight between Thor and Beta Ray Bill again. There's, I think there's a Berserker Thor too that we saw during the War of Realms. That was a few years ago. So there's, and we've also we really haven't seen it yet, actually. We haven't seen Unworthy Thor yet, which would be interesting. I guess we kind of saw it in the first Thor movie. He was unable to lift the hammer.
Yeah.
Right.
That story actually took place after the events of the God Butcher story, which is what we're about to see in Thor: Love and Thunder. But we could still potentially see that, because we still haven't seen Thor's other mystical weapon, Yarnbjorn, just yet, which is another mystical axe. So there's multiple versions of Thor that we could still finally see. There's also Thunderstrike. I forgot about that. Thunderstrike was the Ultimate Universe version of Thor.
Yep.
That wasn't really a god, but had like a powered hammer. And that hammer ended up showing up in the MCU at one point, or I'm sorry, in the main 616 universe after the events of Secret Wars. So yeah, there's multiple things that they could do with the character, and I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Thunderstrike. Did the guy that willed that? I can't remember the name of the character, but didn't he wind up dying or something like that? Or what?
Yeah, I
he
think
died.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Was that the mail carrier guy?
What?
The one who looks like a mail carrier, like
this guy.
No, I'm serious.
I'm gonna mute you. I'm gonna mute you.
No,
right
this was his name was Eric Masterson. And he was I'm sorry. So I think there's multiple Thunderstrikes. Because I'm sorry. No. Thunderstrike was a different Thor type character from the 90s.
Right.
There was also Thor from the Ultimate Universe who was not Asgardian, if I remember right. He had some kind of super powered hammer that was like technology based or something to that effect.
Because I think I was trying to remember Thunderstrike that you were talking about. It was like Thor disappeared or something like that, or became unworthy, and and somehow this guy almost kind of reminds me a little bit of what's happening with Natalie Portman, is that he somehow got empowered by this mystical hammer and was kind of like doing the Thor thing, but he wasn't Thor, and he went by Thunderstrike. It's been a long time since I've seen or read that character, so but yeah, I mean, you're right. There's so many iterations of Thor out there that we could see, but I tell you right now, I think the one that fans, especially the comic book fans, are just dying for is a Beta Ray Bill. We've got to see a Beta Ray Bill Thor.
So I've heard people say they don't think they'll do Beta Ray Bill because he's too much like Korg.
What do you mean?
Like a lot of people felt like Korg already stole the thunder of Beta Ray Bill, basically.
Well, Beta Ray Bill is more of a serious character, whereas Korg
that's
is
what
kind
I
of like
thought,
comic relief.
Yeah.
So if they could do Beta Ray Bill, but they'd have to be careful because like introducing a character like that could almost seem like you're passing on the mantle to somebody else. So unless they're ready to do that, because people really want this character and they want to see a story, it almost have to be a film where they introduce the character and he's like basically the supporting cast character, and it's like largely his story, and Thor is just kind of there as like the main character, kind of helping that character. And I don't know really any kind of story that they could do with that would make sense now that Odin is gone,
right?
Without introducing like Mangog, which is another Thor villain, or even just doing the Herald of Galactus story that I mentioned before.
Well, now I don't know if you guys have heard, but the early reactions of the movie are starting to leak out, and people are really digging it. They are saying that your mileage may vary. Like if you didn't like some of the goofiness of Ragnarok, you're gonna find some things that are kind of off-putting in this. Like I guess there's a lot of things like they kind of like Guardians too, like, oh, that works, let's double down on it kind of thing, but they did say that everybody says Christian Bale is great. They said Natalie's great. Everything's great. They said that one thing that people were worried about that does not happen is Thor is not a guest star in his own movie. And I was worried about that between the Guardians and Jane Foster. I thought, oh boy, what do we? But there's like, no, they said Thor is the hero of the movie, and Jane Foster and Valkyrie are 100% solid supporting characters.
That's good.
But
that's good to hear.
Yeah,
I've heard that the early reviews of the movie, or early what do you call them?
Like the social media reactions or whatever.
Yeah, early reactions to the test screenings are saying that Christian Bale is the best Marvel villain to date.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Which is pretty incredible, because given that we've had, you know, really standout characters like Tony, was it Tony Liu or Tony Liu?
Mhm.
And
Tony
Shang-Chi,
Leung, yeah.
or Leon, yeah, Tony Chi, he was fantastic in Shang-Chi. We had Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger and Black Panther.
Ooh, he was
we-
such a good villain.
Mhm.
Man.
Josh Brolin as Thanos. Like we've had some really good, I think Kate Blanchett still did a pretty good job in
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
We've had some pretty good villains over the last few years.
Mhm.
We've been spoiled with the exception of
Yeah.
Black Widow. Black Widow has a trash villain. Also, the Eternals have some trash villains too. But
I wouldn't know. I haven't seen it.
but even
You ever
Doctor
watch it?
Strange,
No,
We-
I haven't watched it.
even Doctor Strange, like with the Scarlet Witch being the villain in that movie, she was great as a villain
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
movie. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
her performance was excellent.
Yep.
So continuing on this trend, if and Gore is a particularly passionate character too,
Right.
about his goal to kill all gods. So to see his portrayal on screen and done, it sounds like done some justice. I'm excited because
Well,
you
you
can
know,
really
would
stand behind
think
this character.
you would think Christian Bale wouldn't sign on for something that was kind of half baked.
Yeah,
I mean, but I've heard rumors that there is tons of footage of Christopher Eccleston as Malekith that is just on the cutting room floor that we never saw.
Ah.
yeah.
Yeah, and like he when he went to the premiere, he was furious. Like, I guess there was so much of Malekith's story that was left on the cutting room floor.
That's crazy.
But
I'd be curious too if like Marvel ever releases like special extended cuts for some of their movies, like a Snyder cut
yeah,
version.
I as tightly plotted as the MCU is, I can't see them doing that.
Probably
I-
not.
I mean, you could put something back in because it'd be cool and it would inadvertently change the plot of another movie. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just can't see him doing that. I think it'd be nice. I think it would be, you know,
It'd be a fan fueled,
yeah.
wish and everything, but
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
it wouldn't be anything that I don't think they would do. It just it wouldn't add anything to their overall storytelling.
Right.
So yeah, it would be.
Well,
And speaking of that too,
Mhm.
like there's apparently a bunch of stuff they've already cut out of this movie that's coming out in the news.
Really?
So there was
Oh,
there was
yeah.
a scene that Christian Bale portrayed in where he did some kind of weird scream or screech or something like that was cut that I saw in the news cycle, and they also cut out Jeff Goldblum and
Peter
oh,
Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage. Yeah, they cut out both of them
And-
from Thor: Love and Thunder.
who cuts
And,
out who cuts Jeff Goldblum out of your movie?
And then also Leah Haney. She apparently has had a scene in the movie.
Oh yeah,
and
Lena
it was
Lena
cut as
Headey.
well. Yep,
Yeah.
she got cut. So I'm just on there. It's like, man, what kind of? So
Yeah.
how long is the movie runtime? Does anyone know off the top of their head?
I've heard that it's about as short as Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I heard
wow.
it's just barely 2 hours, like a little over 2 hours, and that's it.
Let's see if the interwebs will tell me.
So I'm just kind of curious, what kind of story have they told that they felt that they had, we have to short the film down to, to cut these scenes, or I can't imagine the scenes that they cut. We're like, well, this just doesn't work. Get rid of it. I'm like,
According to the interwebs, it is exactly 2 hours.
See, and I see something here that said 115 minutes. So
Damn.
yeah, so right around the 2 hour mark, which is
I wonder how long. Let me see how long Ragnarok was, though. Sorry, guys, we're live Googling on the air here tonight.
it's all right.
Well,
wanna think-
Ragnarok's 2 hours and 10 minutes, and a lot happens in that movie.
That's true.
So,
Yep.
Taika's a pretty deft filmmaker, but
Mhm.
I thought Sam Raimi was too, and I felt Multiverse of Madness could have used another 15 minutes, but
Yeah, and yeah, I think there's a lot of disappointment there that we didn't get to see more multiverse stuff
yeah,
in there. But I feel like too, like if we strayed too much from the film, thinking back on it, like if we got to see like a bunch of weird stuff, it would get people creating like all kinds of like theories and hype for other movies that would never pay off.
We do that anyway.
And we do that anyway, but like it would be like way worse. Like,
And it's Marvel's fault. They're the ones that taught us to do this.
they did.
You know, it's like, quit blaming me for thinking Mephisto was going to be the enemy in freaking WandaVision. Okay, you trained me to do this, Marvel.
Train me to
That's
look
true.
for every little nook and
Yeah.
cranny Easter egg that you plant, and then you get mad at me because I'm like, hey, I thought it was gonna be this. Nope.
Yeah. Well, and we really thought that what's his name? Peter oh, what's his name? That played
Oh,
played,
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver
Oh,
in
yeah.
WandaVision was really
Uh,
the one from the MCU, and we were all
Yeah.
excited because we were like, look at this crossover, and then they were like, oh, it's Ralph Boner.
it's a dick joke. It's a and basically it's yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. Anyway.
I've
All
never
right,
forgiven
guys.
Kevin Feige for that. But my I'm wondering where this is going to fall. Like so far, the best Phase 4 film has been Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I would say that probably for me of course I haven't seen Eternals, so I can't speak to that. A lot of the TV stuff has been fairly middling for me, with WandaVision being a complete misfire. I'm wondering if this, like I would say right now, Spider-Man and Shang-Chi are my two favorite Phase 4 films. I wonder where this is going to land.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be in your top three. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it can't be worse than Black Widow or Eternals, and
Right.
Multiverse of Madness was just okay for a lot
Yeah.
of people. I thought it was pretty decent. Um, my biggest victory with that movie is that they cast people that we wanted to see in
Right.
the movie, which tells me that they're listening to us.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be probably just underneath Spider-Man, because the catharsis that we got from Spider-Man is kind of hard to pay off because that requires decades of watching
Yeah.
films.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I think it's going to nestle just underneath Spider-Man, just because Thor is a character we love and know for a
Mhm.
long time, and appreciate right behind Spider-Man, and just above Shang-Chi, just because he's just the new guy, and that's
Yeah.
really about it. That's all
Yeah.
that it boils down to.
I agree. I
Greg,
agree
you
with
think
that.
the same?
Yeah, I think the same. I mean, yeah, I Spider-Man just it hit all the marks, and
Yeah,
I
it did.
mean, it's rare that you get something like that. But I think I think Pilgrim's right. Thor 4 here, I think it's going to come right underneath Spider-Man without a fight from anything else. And then Shang-Chi is just, it was a great movie, but he's the new kid on the block, so we're always going to kind of migrate back to the ones we know and love, and so I think that's why it'll still come in third. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I think what Marvel really needs to do, just like going forward with all of their films, really, is just give us a big surprise in the middle of the movie that like nobody saw coming.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Every
Yeah.
time. Every
Yep.
time.
Like it. Like it.
Well, guys, we got anything else?
No, sir. I think we did a great job tonight. Once
We-
we got
yeah.
we got things rolling and got some sound.
Well,
Yeah.
we had a pretty good group in the chat tonight. We had the
I
Blues
know.
Man, we had the Wonder Midget, we had Courtney, we had Sprout, we had B5 Babe. I mean, my gosh, we
Had a Melissa, I believe it was her name.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember who she is.
Yeah.
She's been in past ones, but
Lori Vanpool was with us for a
Lori,
little bit.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
man, we had a
Had a
great
great-
group tonight.
tell you,
And,
man.
for all
Awesome.
those people that tuned in, I want to thank them for tuning in. I want to thank the Reverend and Goldar for being here. Don't forget, we got a new episode of Nightcrawlers dropping this weekend. New episode of Sci-Fi Friday tomorrow. And thanks to everyone else who tuned in. I want to again thank my co-host for being here. For everybody else, I am Geek Boy for Fanboys 918 signing off.